to be invisible to prospective clients on the websites they trust the most. Our posts reach millions of people across the New York State and around the world. Advertising on our new site will unlock an audience of thousands of potential customers on your doorstep. New York Parrot is born to prosperously speak tomorrow for the voiceless.
Keep watching The Politics every Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern Time on New York Parrot TV, the voice for humanity.
Well, welcome to Talking Politics. We're going to have to take a couple of weeks off for the holiday to update our opening because it seems like President Bush, or former President Bush, has been gone out of office for over a year now, or about a year, and by next year, in 2 weeks, we'll have a new mayor in. Now, welcome to Talking Politics. My name is Robert Press. I'm a reporter, as you can see by my official New York City press card. I write for the Bronx Post and Park Chester Times. Both, like this show, are part of Parrot Media Corporation. I also contribute to the Co-op City News. I have a blog at www.100%.blogspot.com and Facebook pages 100% and what is going on in your local community board. The views expressed on the show are that of the host, any guest, or anyone commenting at the bottom of the screen, not necessarily that of Parrot Media Corporation. Let's go to a quick weather report. It seems like the rain has stopped, but the wind should continue. The high was 58 early this morning, and it'll go down to about into the 30s tonight. Tomorrow, Saturday, 38 will be the high. Sunday, 45. 36 will be the high on Monday to start the week. Now, it appears that the House GOP Republican leaders' health policy package could lead to 100,000 fewer people per year having health insurance through 2030. However, that would save the government $35.6 billion, according to certain reports. With Congress leaving for the holidays, the real deadline now is shifting towards when the open enrollment for Obamacare, as it's called now, marketplace ends on January 15th, and when a swatch of government funding ends on January 30th. Progressives see that as a shutdown date, as a point of leverage, and Republicans see it as the last chance for a deal with Democrats. It appears that President Donald Trump, the military buildup near Venezuela, has received a boost from Trinidad and Tobago, which have signed off on U.S. military aircrafts using airports in the weeks ahead. The U.S. and Paraguay inked an agreement to strengthen joint work on anti-gang operations, and the election of Jose Antonio Cast in Chile gives Trump another right-wing ally in a burgeoning Latin American movement, on top of recent electoral successes for the right in Honduras, Bolivia, and Argentina. And it appears that the first casualty of the Mandami administration Catherine Almonte da Costa has tendered her resignation just hours after certain comments related to anti-Semitic tropes in her past have come to light. Catherine expressed her deep remorse over her past statements and tendered her resignation, and I accepted it, the mayor-elect said in a statement. This incident raises serious questions about the transition team's vetting process. Who knows what else we might find out. Pope Leo XIV accepted 75-year-old Cardinal Timothy Dolan's resignation Wednesday and named Bishop Ron Hicks from the Pontiff's Illinois home state to lead the Archdiocese of New York. Hicks is similar to the Pope as he is a moderate. And now let's move to a little political business. It appears that Assembly member Amanda Septimo, who's running for Congress against Congressman Richie Torres, didn't file her last 8 financial campaign disclosures on time. The late filing habit isn't new for the Bronx Democrat. She previously skipped out on reporting her fundraising and spending activities for 5 years in a row between 2018 and 2023. Septimo's campaign belatedly filed disclosures dating back to June 2024 last week after Playbook asked her about the lack of transparency. Her campaign has been working diligently for the past several months to file them. And her chief of staff, Whitney Brimmett, said in a statement, the campaign needed to amend the disclosure from August 2022, which caused a ripple effect on all other filings. Filers are permitted to submit an amended reports as many times as needed, State Board of Elections spokeswoman Catherine McGrath said. Well, if you want to run for Congress, let's get your stuff in on time. U.S. Senator Chuck Schumer on Monday made his way to catch a Washington-bound plane to hear the defense secretary explain military escalating action against Venezuela. And Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer stopped by a dairy farm in Columbia County before boarding that plane. That is the 62nd county the senator has visited in 2025, meaning he's completed the statewide gamut for a 27th consecutive year. Many doubted I would be able to keep this tour going when I became the leader, Schumer said. And Schumer, aged at 75, said as he finds traveling across the Empire State invigorating. I just love it, Schumer says. Just months ago, he had barely covered half of the state's counties, but an early winter scramble that concluded this afternoon, meaning Monday afternoon, lets him keep the streak alive. Schumer said he never doubted that he would find a way to visit every county, and that's doing it isn't optional. Now, Carl Hastie also tries to visit. He's the Speaker of the Assembly. He also tries to visit every county. We see from time to time where he goes from county to county to visit his Assembly members. Governor Kathy Hochul signed or is going to sign after reaching agreement with the state legislature, the Medical Aid in Dying Act, legislation S-138, Assembly 136, allows terminally ill patients the choice to end their life peacefully and comfortably with these terms. There are several terms, though, that have to be met. A mandatory waiting period of 5 days when a prescription is written and filled. An oral request by the patient for medical aid in dying must be recorded by video and audio. A mandatory mental health evaluation of the patient seeking medical aid in dying by a psychiatrist or psychologist. A prohibition against anyone who may benefit financially from the death of a patient from being eligible to serve as a witness to the oral request or an interpreter for the patient. Limiting the availability of medical aid in dying in New York residents, requiring that the initial evaluation of the patient be by a physician, be in person, allowing religiously oriented home hospice providers to opt out of offering medical aid in dying, ensuring that a violation of the law is defined as professional misconduct under the education law, and extending the effective date of the bill to 6 months after signing to allow the Department of Health to put in place regulations required to implement the law, while also ensuring that the healthcare facilities can properly prepare and train staff for compliance. So once again, we're going to have legislation signed, and then everything is going to be put in place. Just like the marijuana laws there, we're still having problems, and there's lawsuits by the people who have some stores. It's a mess here in New York State with Kathy Hochul as governor. Now, let's go to some polls that have come out. Elsie Stefanik has a big lead over Bruce Blakeman in a potential Republican gubernatorial primary, according to a poll released by Siena Research Institute on Monday. Stefanik leads Blakeman by 48 to 17% among registered Republicans. She has a 55-13 lead upstate, 45-21 in New York City, and 38-20 in Blakeman's Long Island home base. The poll was conducted on December 8th through the 12th, meaning voters started being surveyed before Blakeman officially launched his campaign on December 9th, but the county executive had been vocally teasing a campaign for a month. Now, on the Democratic side, Governor Kathy Hochul leads her Lieutenant Governor Antonio Delgado 56-13 in Sierra poll, and she led Delgado 56-16 in a November Sierra poll. Hochul also held a 49-30 lead over Stefanik in a hypothetical matchup and a 50-25 edge over Blakeman, according to the most recent survey. Despite long-held opposition from some corners, New York City is now all in on gambling, with casinos coming to Queens and the Bronx. The State Gaming Commission approved the licenses for 3 New York City casinos on Monday, handing a victory to developers behind the proposals, which include Bally's in the Bronx, Resorts in Southeast Queens, and billionaire Mets owner Steve Cohen at Citi Field. The state is expected to get at least $500 million from each casino in the form of a license fee. The commission also conditioned the licenses on bidders accepting an outside monitor to ensure they follow state requirements and keep working various promises they made to win local support. We will monitor to report on a quarterly basis to us on how you have complied with the many wonderful promises that you have made to our communities over the next 5 years, Commissioner Brian O'Dwyer said in addressing the winners. If developers skirt their commitments, O'Dwyer cautioned then that the commission would be keeping your feet to the fire. Now, I don't know what they mean about Bally's, because it appears that Bally's has already started to renege on some of the deals that they're doing at Citi Field. It seems that Jessica Ramos and others aren't giving up. So I don't know how they can say that their communities, were for it. It appears that here in the Bronx, the elected officials of the Bronx Democratic Party were for it, but that goes, and Bronx Democratic Party held a Christmas party yesterday at a local restaurant in Westchester Square. It appears, I saw some pictures. It appears it's the biggest person there besides Carl Hasty, who was the Speaker of the Assembly, was City Controller-elect Mark Levine. But on to another story about Queens Councilwoman Vicky Palladino, who sparked outrage over the weekend after she called for the expulsion of Muslims from Western nations in a since-deleted Islamophobic social media post that prompted calls for her censure. In several posts to X following the killing of 13 people at a Hanukkah celebration in Australia by a pair of gunmen, Republican City Council member Vicky Palladino, who represents parts of northeastern Queens in the council, said Western governments should restrict Muslims from living within their borders. The Islamophobic remarks drew immediate condemnation from some of her council colleagues, who called Palladino's message disgusting and deplorable, while City Council Speaker Adrienne Adams said any punishment for the tweets was out of her hands. She denounced Palladino's comments, which were far from the first to prompt such a response from the Speaker to the Queen's lawmakers' colleagues. Monday afternoon, proposed Council-elect Speaker Julie Menon, said that she had asked Palladino to remove the post so lawmakers could bring all communities together, not further divide them. Now, as far as the Speaker-elect, and I'm going to go to a commercial as soon as I finish, it seems that, yes, there was involvement by Mayor-elect Mandami to try and get a different speaker. It appears that Julie Menon, it was not his first choice. Yeah, we'll get to that in a little bit, Kevin. Let me go to a commercial now, and I'll come back with some more news about Mandami taking office and a little bit about what soon to be former Mayor Eric Adams has to say. So let's go to a commercial. Are we getting a commercial, Ms. Producer? All right, let's continue then. Obviously, he doesn't have his commercial ready.
Imagine a media platform that reshapes the conversation, empowers your voice, and redefines the Bronx community. Bronx Post, changing the reality, changing the narrative. For businesses, politicians, and government agencies, we offer targeted advertising solutions that drive results. Amplify your message. Reach the heart of the Bronx and beyond. Our platform connects you to the community. Learn more. Email info@bronxpost.com or call 718-892-5555. Visit www.bronxpost.com for breaking news and updates. Bronx Post, changing the reality, changing the narrative.
Okay, welcome back. Before I get into the new mayor, it appears that the congestion pricing that was supposed to go up for the holidays will not be going up because it appears that Kathy Hochul is up for re-election next year. Traffic clogs Manhattan every holiday season, forcing pedestrians to weave between cars, filled with drivers lamenting their choices while blocking crosswalks. The MTA has a tool to address the problem, but Governor Kathy Hochul has so far opted not to use it. State law allows the agency to increase the price of daily congestion tolls by 25% on gridlock alert days when the city transportation department essentially declares a traffic emergency. Shortly before congestion pricing went into effect in January, Hochul barred traffic officials from implementing the surging price as a way to help clear the streets. Under no circumstance will allow this discretionary 25% surcharge on gridlock days to be used, Hochul's office wrote on Christmas Eve last year. Congestion pricing currently has a base fee of $9 for traveling below 60th Street. The City Department of Transportation designates 20 gridlock days per year, primarily around the UN General Assembly and holiday season. The MTA makes nearly $2 million a day off of congestion tolls and is required to use the money to finance major upgrades to transit infrastructure. A 25% increase would make the base fare at $11.25. Hochul is up for re-election, as I said, next year, and Mitchell Morse, an urban policy planner at NYU, said imposing extra fees on drives likely isn't a winning strategy. Now, on to Zohan Mandami. He will enter office with a $380 million budget deficit and could have a gaping $6.5 billion gap to close in the upcoming fiscal year. That's according to the Independent Budget Office analysis of Adams' November 2025 financial plan. Just as incoming Mayor Mandami anticipated, it's going to be a real challenge next year. IBO Director Louisa Shafi said. Over the past several weeks, the city has run a surplus and used it to prepay expenses for upcoming year's budget. But Mandami may not have the same cushion, in part because Adams' November plan included more than $1 billion in new spending. Mandami's pick for his first deputy mayor Dean Foley tried to calm the financial watchdog at Citizens Budget Commission before breakfast on Monday morning, pledging that the city's budget would be balanced under generally accepted accounting principles, just like it has been every year since 1982. We have an aggressive agenda requiring raising revenues. We've been very open about that, Fullen said, but the administration will make sure New Yorkers are getting everything they can out of the government, and we are officially doing that with finding savings. Now, the city council held a hearing on Monday on a bill that would raise their salaries and pay other elected officials, including the mayor, by 16% more. But a collection of government reform groups say that's a bad process, and any raise should be enacted by an independent commission that makes recommendations like it's been done for decades. Good government groups say passing the legislation would be a dramatic and alarming, desperate departure from the historic commitment to independent review. The council legally can't raise their pay this year, but the bill's lead sponsor, Natasha Williams, wants to hold a hearing to prepare it to pass in early next year. The bill would raise council members' salaries to $172,500 a year, up from the current $148,500, and would be retroactive to their new term starting January 1st. We don't see it as a pay raise. We see it as a cost of living increase under the exact same methodology that was used for every single city employee over the last 4 years, Williams told Playbook, echoing comments from Julie Menon, who seems inclined to support the bill as the next speaker. Okay, if that's not enough money for you on what you're currently getting, you don't have to be a city council member. The MTA has a new plan for their subway turnstiles. Every New York City turnstile will soon be fitted with metal shark-like fins on the sides with plastic paddles designed to make it harder to skip the fare, MTA officials announced during a meeting. The equipment's already been installed at 327 of the city's 472 subway stations and will be added to another 129 by the end of next month, according to documented published by TA. The MTA plans to spend $7.3 million on new features, a relatively small sum compared to the $1.1 billion it's budgeted to install entirely redesigned sets of fare gates at 150 stations throughout its 5-year construction plan. The MTA for years has raised alarms because people are skipping the fare. The agency estimated it will lose $400 million to subway fare evasion this year, up from $285 million in 2022. Mayor Adams has picked a new head of the CCRB, that's the Civilian Complaint Review Board. He's tapped former journalist Pat Smith as interim chair of the Civilian Complaint Review Board this week, filling that top post at the watchdog agency, at least temporarily, according to sources with knowledge of the personnel move. Smith, who was one of the 3 CCRB members who sided with the police in the fatal shooting of mentally ill Queens man Will Rosario last year, isn't expected to make substantial waves. Just a few weeks left in the Adams administration, but he could create political problems for Mayor-elect Mamdani. Mayor Adams has spent a lot of money recently. He's brought smart, focused leadership to get stuff done every day. Commemorates historic record with time capsule. He's buried a time capsule that will be open in 10 years. He said he saved New Yorkers over $30 billion. He eliminated medical debt for more than 500,000 people and lowered cost of child care. Now, there's more on this on my blog for the entire story. It's at www.100%.bronx.blogspot.com under 4 years as mayor. Park advocates are ramping up pressure. I'm closing up here a little bit. Park advocates are ramping up pressure on Mamdani as quickly to get work on his promise to earmark 1% of the city government budget for spending on New York City parks. Mayor Adams, meanwhile, has topped former Republican leader Joe Borelli to sit on the oversight panel of the local public schools at the beginning, as the ongoing mayor continues to stack boards related to housing policies, housing, policing, and now education before Mayor-elect Zohan Madani takes office. Eric Adams' emphasis on documenting history was physically embodied by a time capsule, as I mentioned. He and his top brass spent Tuesday morning burying it one by one. His senior members of the administration selected an item to put in the time capsule that will be dug up in just 10 years from now. Among items buried, a onesie and a baby hat chosen by Deputy Mayor for Health and Human Services Suzanne Miles Gustav to represent the Adams administration work on maternal health, a piece of a drone chosen by Deputy Mayor for Public Safety Kaz Dorothy to memorize the NYPD's use of the new technology, and a prism chosen by Deputy Mayor for Communications Fabian Levy to symbolize how the light shining through a prism, their work reflected across the city. Now, New York City Mayor Eric Adams, on his future plans, while making an appearance at the Detectives Endowment Association's holiday party, said, "I'm looking forward to just smoking a cigar, drinking some malt scotch, and being able to tell every media in the city to go to hell," he said. That's our Mayor Eric Adams. Will we be better off without him or not? I don't know. But I will know that I'll tell you this. The east side of the Bronx, District 13, is losing a one of the hardest working council members. The deal was that Mondami's people went around with Shirley Alderbal, who is the new councilwoman, saying that this is a Republican. She can't get anything done. But let's look at some of our Bronx council districts. Let's look at the 15th council district with Oswald Felice. What has he gotten done? Nothing. Let's look at the 14th council district with Parina Sanchez. There's been years fight over that Kingsbridge Armory. It's been 10 years that they've been fighting over it at 3 different plans. Let's go to the 16th council district of Althea Stevens. What's happening there? Nothing. The 17th council district. We had now soon to be former city councilman Raphael Salamanca. Well, he's got a lot of new housing in his district, and former chief of staff to state senator Natalia Fernandez, Justin Sanchez, is taking over in his seat. So let's see what gets done. Then up in Riverdale, well, Eric Dinowitz, yeah, you finally got a couple of things done. You have a new migrant center on West 238th Street, 1 block from Riverdale Avenue, which is a main shopping hub. And you got a new homeless shelter coming in there in North Riverdale. So, I mean, Eric Dinowitz, you've probably done a lot. So, but I'm going to wrap it up now, and I'm going to say Assemblyman John Sicaro is having his toy giveaway later today on Friday from 5 to 7 p.m. while supplies last at his district office located at 20-18 Williamsbridge Road between Leidig and Neal Avenues. Children 16 and under must be present to get a toy. And I'll be taking another 2 weeks off. Next week is Christmas and then the New Year because I'm going to be coming back with a newer format and probably a co-host with me. So I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And I will see you next year. And thank you for watching Talking Politics. We will be off for the next 2 weeks. We'll be back Friday, January 6th with a newer and better show. Thank you.
In a world where the quality of information available to poorer communities is doctored, tainted and sometimes regressive, where the words fake news have come to mean other people's opinions, it is vital to rely on news platforms with journalists who have feet on the ground and can report the truth. New York Parrot, a New York-based national and global news outlet, is changing the narratives of media operations. We focus on the news that matters, like self-empowerment, entrepreneurship, finances, health, security, politics, and more. We strive to curb violence, racial and economic discrimination, and to promote peace and socio-economic development of multiculturally diverse world. As we give voice to the people, we also give your business a voice and make it heard. Get your products and services off the ground by advertising on our fast-growing platform. With so much of daily visits to New York Parrot, you can't afford to be invisible to prospective clients on the websites they trust the most. Our posts reach millions of people across the New York State and around the world. Advertising on our new site will unlock an audience of thousands of potential customers on your doorstep. New York Parrot is born to prosperously speak tomorrow for the voiceless.
Imagine a media platform that reshapes the conversation, empowers your voice, and redefines the Bronx community. Bronx Post, changing the reality, changing the narrative. For businesses, politicians, and government agencies, we offer targeted advertising solutions that drive results. Amplify your message. Reach the heart of the Bronx and beyond. Our platform connects you to the community. Learn more. Email info@bronxpost.com or call 718-892-5555. Visit www.bronxpost.com for breaking news and updates. Bronx Post, changing the reality, changing the narrative.
Keep watching The Politics every Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern Time on New York Parrot TV, the voice for humanity.